Hey, what's up guys? It's Ollie with Large LA. Today I got in my Smittybilt Atlas door steps. This is something I really wanted just to give me access to the rooftop, especially once I get the roof tent up on the car. It's going to come in handy. Holds up to about 350 pounds. Has a bottle opener, really nice powder coated finish. It's just going to look really good on the Jeep. So let's go over some of the parts you're going to need, and then we'll get right into the install.
So the tools I'll be using are a razor blade, a ratchet extension, a 1/4 inch socket, a T50 Torx head, a T40 Torx head, and a pair of scissors, along with a torque wrench. What's provided is 2 Smittybilt Atlas door steps, 4 rubber gaskets, and 8mm by 30mm button head Torx bolts.
Now, on my vehicle, and I'm not sure if this holds true for all Jeeps, but the paint is actually covering both the Torx bolt and the hinge. Like when they painted it, they painted all the way over. So if you look close, you'll see that there's actually just kind of paint in that well between where the Torx head is and the hinge. My thought is if I go to unscrew this, it's going to actually possibly chip the paint around, and I've heard that this has happened. So I'm going to go ahead and take my razor blade and just gently cut around the head of the Torx bolt. That way I minimize the risk of actually having the paint chip all the way around. Next, we're going to want to go ahead and start masking off around our hinge and the door, and then we're going to make some marks to ensure that we can realign everything back the way it was. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to go ahead, taking a pen, you're going to mark your alignment just like that.
So I already did one side, and I did it so I can learn some of the issues that might come up in installing this. And one thing I realized is this gasket is going to protrude a little bit above where the step sits. So one way around that is if you just go in and you take off just a small little piece of that gasket, and that's where the scissors come in. I actually tried to use the razor blade after installing it, and that was a bad idea as far as trimming it, because you'll dig into the paint a little bit, and that's not a good thing. Luckily we are wrapping the car, so for me it's not that big of a deal, but for those of you that want to keep your paint in one piece, I recommend just doing it beforehand with a pair of scissors. Alright, so I went ahead and trimmed all my rubber gaskets, and those will come into place soon. Another thing to keep in mind is the fact that the stock head on the Torx bolt on the Jeep, that's the T50. The heads that are on the button top Torx heads from the kit, That's a T40. And it's a little loose T40. Another thing to keep in mind is the metal that this is made of is a lot softer than what your bit's going to be made of. I already stripped one partially on the other side. Hopefully when I need to I can get it back out. Maybe call in a spinny built for another head. But as I was torquing down to the 25 foot-pounds that's required, it kind of chewed up at the insides of my bolt. So just keep that in mind. Torque nice and easy, real smooth. Shouldn't have any problems. I mean, everything else was perfectly fine, but there's always one. So I'm gonna go ahead and start loosening up all the bolts. I've got my shims in here and on here, so this will keep the door from getting too far out of alignment. I'm using some molding that I found that has like nice has a nice taper to it, so it fits in real good. But yeah, just go to the hardware store and find yourself some shims if you don't have something like this laying around the house. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and grab 4 of our bolts, have those ready. Remember what I said about that paint being covering both the bolt and the hinge? Well, it's true, and I think by doing that little cut, we probably saved ourselves from having the possibility of it chipping around where the bolt was. At least I'm sticking to that theory. Alright, placed one, and I'm gonna grab my second one, and the other. And you can kind of push your gaskets in place as needed, but we're looking good there. And I'm gonna check my alignment on my hinge, and I can see it's a little off. That's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and hand screw them in. And I'm just going to, go ahead and hand tighten. Spots all look good, both sides. I'm going to go ahead and start hand tightening down with the ratchet. Doing it diagonally just because it's a force of habit. Just a good practice. All right. Now we want to switch over to our torque wrench. You want it set at 25 foot-pounds, and just go nice and smooth. Until you either hear the click or if you have an electronic one, the beep. It's 4. That's it. So from here, everything's solid. These things can hold, like I said, these things can hold up to 350 pounds. And all that's left to do is just go ahead and remove your tape.